Legs, come in. Yeah, both of them at the Marty. Oh, thank you. Sorry I jumped ahead of you. Fantastic. See, this is what some teamwork can do, working with legs to with the right direction. And just catch up with the boys before they cross over. I thought I was seeing 2 tracks earlier. I'm going to try and turn around for you, Wium. It's going to be much easier than to try and swivel in the chair. How's that? Oh, what a beautiful morning. Welcome to Africa, everyone. Welcome to our live safari this morning. These are 2 big male lions that, as far as I know, actually I think I'll let the lion fans identify them. I had a comment from Male that came through a tweet. You can tweet us, by the way, hashtag Safari Live. I had a comment from Male about the behavior we were seeing as we arrived with them, with the one male, what appeared to be him covering the other one. That's more of a dominance behavior than a sexually overt action. We have seen it with elephant, seen it with giraffe, seen it with impala. It's a passive dominance gesture, in my opinion. One brother just asserting his dominance over the other. Looked like he's got a pretty full belly, the one with his back to us. I can't see this one's belly too easily. I didn't get a good look when we first got here. Morning, boys. I've got a few people that have come through with an answer on who these lions are. People are saying the Matimbas. Yeah, they are indeed the Matimba lions, the Matimba males. Good morning to Donald, asking if these are the dominant male lion of the area. They are two of a number of different coalitions of males that we have in the area, and we do notice that there is a little bit of an overlap of some of their home ranges because we see several different coalitions, and we seem to be in a spot here at Djuma Game Reserve that just happens to be where some of these coalitions overlap. Now we have the Matimbas, these two. They're mostly from the north. You can see how big he is. I wonder what they've been eating. Even a kudu between these two boys is a lot of meat, so they've clearly been having something in the last 24 hours. The northern area above Djuma is a place called Buffelshoek. This is called Buffelshoek Dam, I suppose because it's on the Buffelshoek boundary. And probably where they're headed when they leave here. I'm hoping that they're going to stay here for most of the day, in fact. It would be nice. I think if we had sunshine, we had have a very good chance that they'd lie under a tree for most of the day. But because it's overcast, they could get up and move. I think one thing we have in our advantage is the fact that they are full. Or he's full, at any rate. I don't know about his brother. So they move up into Buffelshoek. They move as far south as the property south of us. They do a little bit to the east, but they don't go very far to the west. I think the furthest west that they go is maybe sort of the western edge of Djuma, because there is a coalition of males that rule the roost, as it were, towards the west around Arathusa. And although there are differences in ages, there are a group of boys called the Birminghams. There's a group of boys called the Majingilans. The Majingilans are much further west, but they spread their territory towards as far east as Arathusa. There are the Salati males that come in from the north as well, from the northwest, from Manyaleti, and they're also known to cross over through Djuma. So there's quite a lion bottleneck happening here with big male coalitions, and the female prides that we find within all of their territory. This part of the world is a pride of lion known as the Nkuhumas. They come into Djuma from the Matimba's territory to the north, where they've actually been for a while now. They've been spending quite a bit of time in the north. It would appear that they haven't been answering the males, and the males have been calling, and it's most likely because this morning these two boys went together. Now, I would imagine that we might find that the one that came up from the south is this boy that's sleeping facing towards us. And I'm thinking that maybe the boy that's sleeping is the brother that might have come back from the north, because they haven't been together for the last few days. And as far as I know, we've only had the one set of tracks of the boy that went south. And he was calling this morning, and no doubt trying to locate his brother. And they must have met up fairly recently. In fact, probably minutes before we got here. And that would also account for that behavior that we saw. Stand by, please. Craig, come in. Now, Craig, one of these Matimba must have come down from the north, and he's got a very full belly. Yeah, I copied that. Yeah, I saw his tracks crossing with Baboon Pan day before yesterday, but he's the one I think that came back. I think they've only just met up again at the dam here. Mostly one set, just south of the dam, it seems, where they joined up. Lex, did you see where the other one joined up? I guess maybe. I don't think he looks as fat, as big, as round as his brother. When their energy levels get to a certain point, it's better to give up on the hunt and try again later rather than expend too much energy, because the only way to replenish it is, of course, to catch something and eat it. So that's why, to a large extent, cats rest a lot. Tom in England. Good question, Tom. Do all the males get to breed? All the males within the coalition, all the pride males, will they all get to breed with the females? Eventually, yes, Tom. I think generally, because of the time frame, because of the estrus period of the females, you'll find a male can't really sustain his mating, and they do. I've seen them where the other male does take over, or does. You also find sometimes, as far as the females are concerned, or a lot of the time, the females will come into estrus together, or relatively close to each other. Not always, but generally speaking, to have cubs at around the same time, so that the cubs don't, there's not too much of a discrepancy in the ages and the sizes of the cubs, because that can get a little bit difficult for the smaller cubs when it comes to being weaned and it comes to fighting over food on a carcass. Cubs of similar ages have a greater chance of seeing it through to adulthood, rather than cubs of varying ages where the younger cubs are going to be dominated over and are not going to get as much of a chance on a carcass as their older counterparts. He's having a bad hair day. After rolling in the hay. Carol wants to know how old these Matimbas are. I think they're probably about 7 or 8, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe get some idea from lion people. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry, but my memory doesn't serve me as well as it used to. I can't remember whether we had the Matimbas the last time we were here back in 2011. I don't think so. We had the Matingalians, 5 of them that came in. One of them was lost as soon as they arrived on the scene because they had a fight with the then ruling government known as the Mapojos. So I'm not sure. I don't think they were here 3 years ago. You can see a pretty hefty mane. I mean, this is the smaller of the 2 brothers. They might not even be siblings. They might be pride brothers from 2 different mothers. But pretty well developed manes, pretty scarred faces. They've had a few fights. Probably a lot of the scars not necessarily so much through fighting, but a lot through mating and scrapping over carcasses more than anything. Ears are not as tatty as they get by the time they've been through a few territorial bouts. So in that prime, probably around 8 years old. 7 or 8. Anybody can confirm or deny or disagree. While we're sitting here, I'm looking for this reptile. Yes. Ramona. Ramona wants to know, does he have an injury to his right paw? He does, Ramona. He's had it for a long, long time, from what I understand. He seems to worry it a lot, so he licks it a lot. And I think there has been speculation as to what caused it, but I couldn't tell you. Almost right there at the dew claw. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe they're a lot older than I thought.
Need a bottle of that Amarillo with a couple of straws.
Oh yeah, Craig, you have to shout like that. Now, the first time they were noticed was 2010. Evidently showed up in Manaleti, thanks Diane. Showed up in November 2010. And they were thought to be about 6 years old then, which would put them at about 14 now. I can't see them being 14, I'm sorry. I know 14-year-old lions, and in a place where there are so many coalitions and there is so much conflict between lion. But thanks for the info, Diane. I'd like to see if there's more info available. I could also find out from the guys in Manaleti, because if they've come in from Manaleti and been pushed down by the other coalitions that have brewed, I suppose, in Manaleti, I'm sure there'll be more info from them up there. Interesting concept. Renee is asking if the crocodile would do anything with the lions here. They could. I think this croc is probably a little bit too small to tackle one of them, but also the fact that there are two of them probably is intimidating enough. I think maybe what we can do while these boys are sleeping, let's just have a look if we can see that croc up on this little arm of the dam. And we can try and find a better position too in a little while.
I think he's there. It's about 5 o'clock.
Oh, there. He's watching them then. We don't have to go anywhere. Yeah, but
That's a crocodile.
yeah. There is the crocodile. He's watching. I don't even know if they know there is a crocodile. But it would be interesting. We'll keep an eye on the croc. It was just behind the torchwood for me. I also wonder if this is a different crocodile, because it looks a little bit smaller to me. It would be very strange if the crocodile that was here, if it moved off and it has been replaced by a smaller one. It's hard to tell, given the distance that it is, given there's nothing to really gauge its size until it gets out of the water. I just heard the radio go, Craig and Lex are talking about the age of the Matimbas. None of them have much of an idea, because also they haven't been in the Sabi Sands for very long. Lex saying maybe 8 to 10. Okay, I'm starting to lose you. I lost the middle of that, Nicky, but I think I've got it. Just give me the date again from Karen. July 2011. The oldest was 6. So evidently the oldest of these two. How many were there initially? Six. So they were initially a coalition of 6. The oldest in 2011, July 2011, according to Karen, was the first time they showed up in Manyeleti, or maybe here from Manyeleti. And the oldest then was 6, which would put him 10, 11. That one, maybe that one on the left, evidently a male named Induna. I have heard of a male called Induna. However, not knowing all 6, I wouldn't know which. It could be him, I guess. I wonder what happened to the other 4 brothers. Or boys. They don't necessarily have to be brothers. They don't necessarily have to be related males to join up to form a coalition. Very interesting question from Derek. The arrival of the lion, is that linked to the very large herd of buffalo that's been around? Yes and no. Funny that you should mention that, Derek, because there are places where, especially where I've lived, where you can be pretty sure if you find a herd of buffalo, you can be pretty sure that they're going to be lying not far away. I mean, Ruaha National Park is renowned for the buffalo movement that takes place. It's almost like a seasonal, I wouldn't call it a migration, but there's the seasonal movement of these very, very large herds of buffalo. And they do these big loops around the Ruaha and the Mwagusi River. And they have to almost run a gauntlet between many different prides of lion. And the lion just feed off buffalo every 2 or 3 days. They become specialist buffalo hunters, and they very seldom eat anything else. The smaller groups of females that live within some of those territories, there's a couple of groups that don't feed on buffalo, and I've even known 2 lionesses who have killed adult bull buffalo on their own, but they also go for zebra and smaller things because it's only the 2 of them with their cubs. And the 2 males that live with them aren't always with them to help them with the buffalo. Here in this part of the world, the big breeding herds of buffalo that we get that come through here also move through different lion territories. So it's not always that lion can follow them, because the buffalo will move out of their territory. The buffalo move in much larger circles than the lion. So I guess when the buffalo herd is coming through, and I had a wonderful experience tonight. Lion hunting buffalo many times. Some very strange noises out of the buffalo that we could hear in the dark. Now, I had asked some of the neighbors that were at that had been watching the buffalo across the road. I'd asked them if they'd seen any sign of the two males, and they had been seen much further east to where the buffalo herd was, but it seemed like they must have had some inkling of the buffalo's presence. What, did I say something wrong? Or you don't like my voice? If looks could kill. You're looking straight at me, I'm not trying to. I'm okay, let's blink my eyes. Or maybe he doesn't like me talking about lion strategy.
That elephant.
Do lions ever go swimming? Oh, we got elephants coming. That's what he heard. He was looking right past me. There's a young elephant coming. A little bull with one tusk. This might be interesting because he could be. Craig got a small glove on his way down to the water. Have you got more your side? Hang on, Nikki. Yeah, they're getting up. I suppose Craig can see that. Don't have to tell him that. Hello, little boy. The little Ellie's maybe not even interested in them just yet. I don't think he's seen them. He's just looking at us. Hello, little boy. Elephants. We're getting a little bit cautious. See, I think the lion don't know that there's only one little boy. Ellie can smell something. He's definitely quite tentative. Sorry, Nikki, I had the sound down. This one. The question, I'm not sure who it was from, was about whether the lion ever get into the water. Here not, no. Here in this part of the world, the lion aren't very fond of water at all. Margot was asking. Margot is in Florida. I have only ever known lion to have to deal with water in places where there are very big rivers, or in the Okavango Delta where they have to cross water to get to the different islands, to get from island to island and move through the swampland. But I've never known lion to actually swim. I think in a lot of the big bodies of water you've always got crocodiles and cats where they live. Well, cats that live in those areas with crocodiles will invariably be very wary of the crocodiles. Morning, little boy. Now he could be just breaking away from his family and coming down for a drink. He's going to head towards where they were sleeping, and I'm sure he'll pick up their scent. Or he could be a teenager that's leaving his herd and hoping to find a bigger bull to be with. we need to move, because now we've got no view of cats and no view of Ellie. What, little boy? Ellie on my hat. Okay, he's panicking, so we'll just let him calm down. He's possibly smelling the fact that there have been cats around. And he's also I suppose a little bit insecure without mom and family around. It's quite possible that they're slowly making their way here to the water. Right, let's see if I can start up again. See? As soon as I start up, he gets nervous. There we go. More Ellie's behind us. So all he's done is he's decided to come to the water before the rest of the herd. And then, so that's all on our left. That's why he's a bit nervous, because and this seems to be, it's not a herd, seems to be a bachelor herd of bulls. So he's probably quite new to the bachelors and babies. Let's go and have a look. The cats are lying down again. We're not going to lose them. But here comes one of the big cows and her children. Very big girl. And little one. So I think what happened was the cats must have heard that there was more than just one little boy elephant. I wasn't hearing this big herd. Huge, beautiful big group that are heading down to the river, to the dam. But they are feeding as they go along, so there's no rush to get to the water. It's not hot. Wahoo with the lion. Nikki wants to know why they would have moved off. Well, because this herd will charge them. The herd of elephants do not like lion, especially with these little ones that we can see. Help me, mommy! The lion are not... They must have heard more than we could see. And despite the fact that this is a very large herd, now we need to get to the water to be able to watch them come down. We don't want to be behind them. But a very large herd like this, if they pick up on lion and they see the lion, they'll charge them, they'll chase them, they'll make sure that they get the upper hand. Try and get to the other side of the dam before the herd gets here, so that we can see or get to a different position. Otherwise all we're going to see are the backs of elephants. Maybe we can to where the cats are. The lions keep their distance. If the Ellies come this way, I'll move again. If the elephants move off, I'll probably relax again. But lion and elephant don't see eye to eye. There are places where lion do hunt elephant, but not so much here, especially not these two big boys. Thank you, Craig. Very good in you.
Persevering. He's got a big belly, he doesn't want to eat anybody.
Wow, just made it in time to get a duo of lions and elephants. Get a bit of, so they're heading off into dreamland. Just want to see if we can get, because the ellies are not going to be here for too long. There's the crocodile. That is still, I think, you can see the croc moving away from the ellies as well now. Sorry if the angle's different. Still quite a big crocodile, so I think it's still the same croc. Just need an elephant to give it perspective. Like a submarine or a battleship slowly moves away from potential trouble. Oh, there, that little one, they're smelling where the lion was sleeping. They don't seem to be reacting too much to the fact that there were lion there. And there's still elephants coming out of the woodwork in the background.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those lines need for a fact that it's better for them to move away than size-wise, numbers-wise, playing with sticks. Oh no, playing fish. My time is that two simple things in the lines were lying over there. That's what's causing them to be unguarded. attack or anything sort of thing. No. Even the Croc knows it's not a good idea to mess with all of it. But again, there's other animals that come down to drink that you could smash up. Koala, bushbuck, nyala, kudu. There's also a few fish in here as well. I'm sorry it's a horrible Sunday.
We would see a lot of elephants.
Just like the other baboon. That is a baboon.
Got a fright. One elephant got a fright from the heron. I'm getting a very rough signal on the radio, and I know there are some questions coming in. I think one of the questions, and I couldn't pick up who that was from, was something about what would cause an elephant to lose a tusk. Well, sometimes they get broken in sparring and fighting. Sometimes a tusk can be lost broken through breaking of branches. But quite often when we don't see a tusk, it is because the tooth hasn't grown out. And maybe not necessarily that it's broken off or they've lost a tusk, but maybe they just didn't have tusks to begin with. The beauty about being on the opposite side of the water is that the elephants are unmoved by our presence, so we get to see almost unhindered behavior from them. That's quite a tender and very touching gesture there, putting trunk in the other one's mouth, that we saw very often the greeting that elephants have. The little ones are intrigued with that gully that's formed. there was another question too. Would the lion have felt the elephant in the vibration in the ground? No, they definitely, from what I deduced from the way he sat up and he looked towards me, I thought it was because I was talking. I thought it might have had something to do with my voice. But he heard a noise and he looked up, and then he started listening to more noises. I couldn't hear it basically because I've got one ear blocked with an earphone listening to the radio, and the other ear mostly the hum from the vehicle. So it's very difficult for me to hear the subtle sounds of a herd. Even though it's a herd of elephant, I have to tell you, they move quieter than one person would walk through the bush. And because he is very attuned to those noises, he would have lifted his head. I've seen it so many times, the way lions do that. You can hear a squirrel now shouting at him. Let's move down next to the water. So it's something that you find, especially when you're tracking lion, even on foot, especially, and the way they suddenly jump up when they hear you coming, because very often you find lion will be sleeping if you're tracking them, and before you know it, you suddenly got a lion jumping up ahead of you because you don't see them. They're so fast asleep, and they're flat. It's only when they suddenly lift their heads because they can hear you. I don't think they feel vibration. I think it's more an audible signal that they get before they feel anything. I also don't think, based on the quietness of those elephants moving, they're not making that much of a vibration, a rumble on the ground. You can hear the noise of a squirrel alarming. I can see the squirrel now sitting on a dead tree. Also very typical of squirrel alarming is the flicking of the tail. It's almost like a squeaky toy. It's the tail that makes the noise. You move the tail to make a noise. And suddenly, Buffelshoek Dam, apart from the squirrel shouting, has become a very quiet and tranquil place once again. No one would, if we didn't know the lion were here and we just had to arrive at the dam right now, we would think that very quiet, no activity, peaceful, tranquil scene, with no inkling that there was a little bit of drama that has just played itself out. You see, lions also want to avoid a confrontation with larger mammals. They can't afford to get hurt. Even if there was a big herd of buffalo and they weren't ready to hunt, they would probably move away because the buffalo would probably try and chase them off or attack them. And you can't afford to have an injury as a predator. Well, I suppose as anything, even if you prey. Buffalo, on the other hand, do have a habit of protecting their old and injured. Lois, I think it is, in Buffalo, New York. Lois is asking if males, when they form a coalition, non-related males, I guess, will they fight to assert dominance, to establish dominance? They might do. We noticed that when we were in Thorny Bush a couple of years ago, notable example, when we were in Thorny Bush, there was a young male that was just leaving the pride, and a new male had come in to Thorny Bush from the Timbavati. He had somehow got in. Well, the fence wasn't very substantial at the time, probably because of previous flooding, where the Timbavati River left Manyalet, or rather left Thorny Bush. And a male had come in from Timbavati, and the first day that they got together, there was a scuffle, there was a bit of a fight, and the young male was, well, he got a pretty bad cut on his upper lip. And then after that, they joined up and they formed a coalition, and I think they're still together today. I must actually look into that, to see whether they are still together, the two boys. But different ages, different areas, they've joined up together. Well, I guess now that I'm seeing him lying differently, it does look like he might have a full belly. Not as full as his brother, but he's certainly got a full belly. Peggy's asking if elephants ever get as full as lions do, because elephants seem to always be eating. No, they don't really, Peggy, because their digestive system is somewhat different. You see, lions are eating a very high protein meal. They're eating meat. It doesn't move through the system very quickly. It takes a longer time to digest. Elephant, on the other hand, have the kind of digestive system that requires constant movement. Food going in and food coming out, because the kind of digestive system doesn't really take very much out of what they put in. Excuse me a second. Go ahead. Yeah, you're welcome, Andrew. Do you know where I am? Off the northwestern side, where that where the Skovanin is. So elephants, part of their diet is roughage, part of the necessary part of their diet, branches and bark and twigs and roots, very rough material that is able to help move undigested material out. So essentially elephant can't really get over full, because their digestive system is constantly processing the vegetation and making space for new food to come in. there's a fair amount of fermentation that takes place, and if the food stays in the stomach too long, that fermentation can become more advanced, and of course it can cause gases and build up that an elephant shouldn't really have within its stomach. And so the roughage that it needs helps pass through all the undigested material. Trying to think. I'm sure Andrew will find a place. Only a couple of days ago we were in a very similar situation with another dam, with another group of lion lying amongst fallen trees where the water had receded. Good morning. Actually see the difference in the size of the stomachs now.
So two brothers. Go close to the water. Moved down there because of the so
Dara, who's in Ohio, hello Dara. Wants to know if the squirrel's going to be calling until they leave. Could be. Might get bored, might get hoarse. And also, might even call long after they leave. It might be so upset with their presence that it'll call when it can't even see them anymore.
the other side because see them they're still looking at the danger.
Now, living with these squirrels in my roof, I wake up to this almost every morning at home, and I invariably either race to a window or run out the door to see what there might be. Problem is that a squirrel will do this for an African wildcat even. I've even got a slender mongoose that climbs up the knobthorn outside my house to go and check the squirrel nests and the bird nests. And the squirrels go mad like this just for a slender mongoose. So sometimes, in fact most of the time, we hear squirrels alarming. We don't always get to see what it is that they're alarming at. I can't see. Can you see where it is, the squirrel?
It's moved now.
Yeah, behind this baby tambuti. I think he's getting, not only uncomfortable, but he's probably getting irritated by the squirrel. He just wants peace and quiet. Wants to take a cat nap without the noise. So eventually the squirrel stops looking at the predator and alarming at the predator and starts looking elsewhere to see if it can attract the attention of other squirrels or other allies. Gonna move position a little bit. And there was a champion clove that headed south.
Oh, they had that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go around it. maybe we'd get a better view, but he's laying down. Bit of an angle for the camera, sorry. Is it? Can you level it alright?
Yeah, it's not bad.
I just thought if the other one sat up, we'd get a nice look at his face, maybe. The bigger boy. I'm starting to recall now, going back in time, when we were here in 2011, having the Matimbas and the lion called Induna, the bigger male of the group. And if I'm not, that big male had a little bit of his tail missing, much like Induna the leopard did. Funny, a little while ago I wasn't really remembering them at all, but things are starting to come back to me a little. Straighten that a little, see if it makes a difference.
That's dendros.
Is it? Nikki, if you can copy me, not copying anything at all. Tree starting to fade, leaves are yellowing.
Yeah, this is rather sometimes suffering, but days ago they were together. So, yeah, it's